My name is Cheryl Baldwin, and I'm with the Connecticut Department of Energy and Environmental Protection. And I also run the What's In, What's Out program for the Recycle CT Foundation. Every week I talk about a different topic related to recycling or waste reduction, reuse, or trash. And today we're going to be talking about the bottle bill, because there's a little bit of news related to the bottle bill as a result of COVID-19. So as many of you may know that I'm actually going to read, the law was enacted in 1978 and it became effective in January 1st of 1980. The bottle bill has been around for a long time, and the original intention had to do with litter, because in the 70s people were just throwing bottles and cans out of their car windows and our roadways were getting littered with bottles and cans. So the idea was that if we put a deposit on those containers, people will be given an incentive to return them, and they could be recycled. So what are the different materials that are under the Connecticut the Container Redemption Law, also known as the bottle bill? Well, we have soda in form of cans, and of course plastic bottles as well. It includes beer. It includes glass bottles, also beer. So carbonated and malt beverages would include soda and beer. And then some new malt beverages, kombucha, also in a glass, but it has a deposit. And of course, water bottles were added a couple of years ago, and those are all in plastic. And so all of these are redeemable and have a 5-cent deposit on them. So what's the update? Well, some of you may have been trying to return your bottles and cans to your local grocery store and discovered that they're not taking them. Well, the reason being is on March 17th, when the pandemic was becoming more aware around us, the department, DEEP, decided that what they wanted to do is make it a little bit easier for grocery stores. Grocery stores were needing to restock their shelves, and they were also recognizing they needed to clean more and sanitize. And of course, they needed to come up with better social distancing practices, which they've been doing. However, at that time, the department felt that maybe the bottle bill was going to be a little bit too much, and if they wanted to, they could stop accepting bottles and cans through the deposit program. So what the department was really saying is, we're not going to enforce this law right now. We are not going to give you a fine, or referred to as a notice of violation, for not following the law. So grocery stores had the opportunity to stop accepting bottles and cans. Some continued, some may have continued for a little bit longer and then stopped, but ultimately it's a voluntary decision for each retailer to decide. You'll also see that liquor and package stores fall under that, and so they may also have decided to hold off for a couple of weeks, and in this case it's turning into a couple of months. The department originally gave it a deadline of April 1st, and then April 1st they extended it to the end of April, and then on April 30th they extended it now until May 20th. May 20th, of course, is sort of a magic day, because that's when Governor Lamont has shared that some businesses may be reopening. What that means, we're still waiting, but it does mean for DEEP that they will begin enforcing after that date for the bottle bill program for retailers. So if your retailer isn't already accepting bottles and cans, they will in the future, after May 20th. So the other thing to know is that redemption centers are open now. We have a number of redemption centers around the state, and you can find that list on DEEP's webpage, and by just doing a search of Connecticut redemption centers, or where can I return my bottles and cans, and you should come up with a list of redemption centers around the state. So you can do that now. If you find that you're stockpiling, you can't get to a redemption center and you want to do something sooner, you know that you can put them in your blue bin. They are quite acceptable in your blue container, or your curbside, or at the transfer station, your mixed recycling. However, if you have glass, I encourage you to wait and hold on to it. So 2 things. 1, all of these materials are acceptable in your blue bin. However, you don't get your deposit. And you might ask, well, what happens to my deposit if I don't get it back? All of those money, all the sheets is what they're referred to, they all go into Connecticut's general fund. So if you want to support Connecticut, by all means, don't return them and let them keep the deposit. But if you want to hang on to them a little bit longer, it's only going to be another less than a month before you can return them. And something to know about glass, what's really interesting is that glass that goes through the bottle bill is a much cleaner material than when it goes through the MRF operation. The MRF, of course, is the Materials Recovery Facility. They are the facilities that take all of our mixed recycling and sort and separate everything. Well, glass, unfortunately, when we're not doing a very good job of reducing our contamination, can get really contaminated. However, bottle bill glass is so clean, it's great to actually turn it back into a bottle or a jar. And so there's a company actually in Connecticut, as well as around the country, called Strategic Materials. And they want our bottle bill glass. They are eager for us to reinstate, or excuse me, they are very eager to stop the suspension. They want retailers to open up shop again because they are desperate for our glass. So it's just something to keep in mind. So you've got lots of options, and waiting is, of course, just one of them. So I thank you very much, and I look forward to talking about a new topic next week. Thanks.